Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are in Kathopanishad, which is a dialogue between the student Nachiketa and the Lord of Death, the Dharmaraj, the Yamaraj, who is the teacher. And we are on the part 1, chapter 2, verse number 22. And let me just get it. One moment, I'll just fix this. Okay, so we saw in the last week the verse 21 in which Asino duram rajati shayano yati sarvatah kastam madamadam devam madanyo jatumarhati. And there, not because, the self is difficult to know for a common person. And who is this common person? Common person is he or she who has desire for the world. And as long as, or not only just desire for the world, any desire, even for God, even for self, desire per se. So anyone who is possessed of desire, he is an ordinary person because he is objective in his approach, and such a person, for such a person, self does not reveal. And here it is told, Asino duram vrajati, while sitting, it travels far away. Who? The self. So without moving, it is moving. Shayano yati sarvatah, while sleeping, it goes everywhere. Kastam madamadam devam, and who else who can know this deity but me, who has been blessed by its revelation? Who is saying? Yamaraj is saying, the Dharmaraj is saying to Nachiket. And this we saw in our last class, and the text, now here we are in the 22nd verse, and there it said that the text further shows how from the knowledge of the self comes the elimination of grief as well. And this verse we chanted last week, I don't know, but we'll chant it now. Ashariram sharireshu, ashariram sharireshu, vanavastheshvavasthitam, vanavastheshvavasthitam, mahantam vibhumatmanam, mahantam vibhumatmanam, matva dhiro na shochati, matva dhiro na shochati. Together, ashariram sharireshu, vanavastheshvavasthitam, mahantam vibhumatmanam, matva dhiro na shochati. So here, ashariram sharireshu, mahantam sharireshu, anavastheshu avasthitam, and mahantam vibhumatmanam. matva dhiro na shochati. Having meditated on the self, uh, how do you meditate on the self? Ashariram sharireshu, as bodiless amongst all the bodies, as formless among all the forms, and anavastheshu avasthitam, and as the permanent principle in spite of the impermanence of all objects. So, for example, the gold is the formless in spite of all the form, the ornaments. Water is the formless in spite of all the form, the waves and the ocean. And this way, he is the bodiless, he is the formless, he is the attributeless amongst all form, amongst all bodies, and also he is the permanent amongst all the impermanent. And who are impermanent? In the Bhashya it will be told. And as a great pervasive, then the verse says, Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam. Mahantam. And why is it great? Because it is Vibhum, it is pervasive like the sky. And Matva Dhiro na Shochati. And having known it such, Matva, having known, the wise man, Dhiraha, the wise man, na shochati, such a person does not grieve. And our problem is only grieving, complaining, cribbing. The world is like this, the husband is like this, the wife is like this, the children don't listen, the body doesn't listen, why it is only raining in Sydney and it's only cold in Melbourne. And it goes on and on and on. We never find reasons to be surprised every moment. We don't live in wonderment every moment. We live in wonderment of how many more problems we can share. That is our problem. But this Atma is the untouched in spite of it's the permanent principle in spite of all the impermanent one. Please close your audio. Maybe I'll do it for you people, whoever it is. Oh, they did. Okay. So let's get into the into the Bhashyam. Here it says, Ashariram swena rupena akashakalpa atma tam ashariram sharireshu deva pitru manushyadi sharireshu anavastheshu avasthiti rahiteshu avasthitam nityam avvikritam iti etat. So he says, by nature, Atma is like the sky, is like the space. Akashvat here it says, is like Akash. Akash is the sky. What is the dimension of the sky? It's infinite. Can it be contained anywhere? No. Does it support the whole universe? Yes. Because it supports the whole universe, does it get affected by the universe? Does it get tickled by the movement of the solar system? Does it get tickled by the revolving of the Milky Way? Does it get tickled and troubled by various galaxies dashing into each other? No, it remains untouched, unflinching, constant, in spite of everything that it supports within its womb. That is the nature of our Akash. So here, through this simile, the nature of Atma is being presented to us, that ashariram swena rupena akashakalpa atma tam shariram sharireshu. So this Atma by nature is like the sky, and therefore Deva Pitru Manushyadi Sharireshu. It is the bodiless principle inside all the bodies. And what are all the bodies? They are the bodies of Deva, gods, Pitru, ancestors, Manushyadi, human beings. See? This you will understand when I tell you. If you can't think of an example right now, when I tell you the example, suddenly it will click. I'll give you 1 second. 1 second, 5 seconds, okay, 10 seconds. Think. If you can think of something subjective. Bodyless principles supporting all the bodies. Inside all the forms, it is the formless. Take subjective example. All the bodies in the dream, what is the bodyless principle within all the beings, all the elements in the dream? What is the bodyless principle? Where did the whole dream appear from? Where did the whole dream merge back into? Where is the whole dream existing in? That principle from which the dream came out with all its variety, where it is maintained, where it goes back to, is the mind. So mind, what is the form of the mind? Nothing. There is no form of the mind. See? So, ashariram sharireshu. Saying, I have already given you examples of the asharireshu. Gold is formless. But gold is the only material, the formless principle in all the forms of the ornament. Water is the formless principle, is the formless in all the forms called wave and ocean. See? When you listen to this, you take this and apply it on yourself. That what is that bodyless principle? What is that formless principle? What is that qualityless principle? What is that attributeless principle? In spite of all the form, like a zip file, it should open. What is the form? World is the form, body is the form, breath is the form, mind, thoughts are the form, I is the form, and the principle which is the material out of which all this is, which is formless, is the self that I am, because I'm conscious. Come back to that principle. Be that principle. Don't keep it in your intellect, just as a concept. If it's a concept, that concept will go away. The moment class is over, something else will come and take over the mind. Right here and now, dive into yourself, as each word is an indicator, is a guide to who we are. Here we are not talking about someone above the clouds. We are not talking about someone who will reveal himself one day in the future. We are talking about the Atman. The nature of the Atman is, it is bodiless in spite of the bodies. It is the bodyless principle in all the bodies. So what is the bodyless principle? I gave you one example. The mind is bodiless in spite of supporting all the bodies in the dream. Find out in this waking, what is that bodyless principle, that formless principle, that attributeless principle. See? This is open-eyed meditation going on right now. See? अशरीरम स्वेन रूपेण आकाशकल्प आत्मा तम शरीरम शरीरेषु देव पितृ मनुष्यादि शरीरेषु. Here they have just taken the forms, body forms are for whom? Gods. Which are the gods? Not only the demigods, including Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Narayana. Everyone, every god that you have, given a form. God, Deva, Pitru, all the ancestors, all not in this house, but most of the houses, they have got ancestral photographs hanging everywhere. And thirdly, which is more close, is our own body. So all these bodies have a formless principle, which is the conscious principle, that formless principle is the Atman, recognized in this way. Our default setting is, who are you? I am this body, I am that, born to this person, I am son of this person, I am a husband of this person, I am a brother of this person, I am a student of this person, I am a teacher of this person, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. All we can, the only way we define ourselves or think of ourselves is in a referential existence. This bodiless principle is non-referential existence. Non-specific. Body is specific. Atma is non-specific. Space is also non-specific. Atma pervades like the space. Space cannot think. You are a thinking person. You are a living person. You are alive. You are conscious. That consciousness is not inert like space. It doesn't require any reference in order to express itself. It is self-expressing. It is non-specific. Water is non-specific. Gold is non-specific. Ornament is specific. Wave and ocean is specific. The only reason we are repeating these examples again and again and again is you make a clear distinction and are able to discriminate what is with form, and you are the one who is without form. Your attention must be on that formless in spite of the form. Anavastheshu avasthiti rahiteshu avasthitam nityam avikrutam iti etata. So here he says that it is the eternal one which is situated, which is within the non-eternal things. So what are non-eternal? Everything that is specific, everything that has a contour, everything that has a quality, that is everything that has a beginning and end, everything that has come into this existence temporarily is non-eternal. Whether that be the world, whether it be the body, whether it be the breath, whether it be the emotions, whether it be the thoughts, whether it be the waker, dreamer, sleeper, all these are non-eternal ones. Whether it be the Deva, Pitru and Manushya, other Manushya, including this body, or everything is non-eternal. Ravana wanted this non-eternal to be eternal. Not possible. Not possible. See. So it says that it is that it has got no avastha, it has got no state, it is not a state, yet it is but it is situated within the within the non-eternal. It is situated within the specific. So even though it is formless, avikari, here it says nityam avikrut iti avikrutam iti etat. Avikrutam, it is vikar rahit. Vikar rahit means it is free of all modifications. What is free of, what is having modifications? Name and form is having. Anything that is non-eternal, anitya, is subject to modification. Thoughts are subject to modification, emotions, concepts, ideas, imaginations, uh, 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 emotions, breath, body, waker, dreamer, sleeper, waking world, dream world, everything is subject to modification because they don't last. And who is this Atma? He is the one who is situated in the midst of all this changing modification, in the midst of this non-eternal. See, make it your subjective disposition right now. You are in the center. You, not in the center, you are the center. In spite of all the changing body, the changing senses, the changing breath, the changing mind. See. Mahantam mahatvasya apekshikatva shankayam aha. And this Atma, it is the greater than the greatest. It is Mahan. So Mahantam. What does the verse say? Mahantam Vibhu Atmanam. This avikari, unchanging, unmodifying, formless, nitya, eternal, which that is the Atman. It is greater than the greatest. Mahantam. Mahato mahiyam. Yo veda nihitam guhayam. See, it is greater than the greatest. Remember Ishavasya Upanishad? He is greater than the greatest. And how is it greater than the greatest? So here it says mahatvasya apekshikatva shankayam aha. So if how it is all pervading, if you are having this doubt, how it is greater than the greatest, if you are having this doubt, think of it. Vibhum vyapinam atmanam, that it is of the nature of vibhum, it is of the nature of all pervasiveness. And these, if you have been attending regularly, to those who have been attending, they know. I keep bringing you back how you are all pervasive, just as the mind is all pervasive in the dream world. Mind is the material which has gone into space, air, fire, water, earth, plants, animals, trees, rivulets, oceans, birth, death, creation, maintenance, existence, every body, every sense, every mind, every birth, every death, every life that is expressing in the dream is an expression. Mind is pervading that because the entire dream world cannot be outside the mind. Right? So what is the common denominator? What is that which is pervading the whole thing? It is the mind. What is the nature of mind? Consciousness. Then why do you call it mind? Mind with thoughts is called consciousness with thoughts is called mind. Today I was ironing the clothes. I was in someone's house in Glenwood. So we had a meditation in the morning, and immediately after a meditation I came to the ironing board and my clothes were washed and I was ironing. And the Amma said, Swamiji, leave me, I will do it. I said, no, I enjoy doing it. No, I'll do it. She started, I said, Amma, you make breakfast, I'll do my clothes. Why you are saying that I will do it? Yesterday also you didn't allow, today also you are not allowing. I said, because I want to see where the wrinkles of my clothes go away after I iron them. I want to collect them afterwards so that I throw it in the bin. So what is a wrinkled cloth? It is the same cloth. So where are the wrinkles? They appear very real, but the moment you iron them out, they become unmanifest. See, cloth was the reality. So what is the wrinkles in consciousness? The thoughts. Iron them out, thinking in this way, that it is greater than the greatest, that it is the self, the Atman is that which is all pervasive. It is pervading this entire waking universe, just like the mind was pervading the entire dream universe. There is no straight answer. You will not get a result. But instead, what will happen? The mind will vanish in that contemplation, because it cannot work itself out. That point will come in the next verse. Right now, the vision is being presented by Yamaraj to Nachiket. That know the Atma. Remember how it began? He asked for what is that which is beyond dharma, etc. Then Yamaraj said, Om is that which represents the formless and the form. Wherever you put attention, that will be gained by you. And thereafter, he started explaining what is his experience of that reality, and he's still continuing. See, first we have to be convinced. In that the reason that which is always present is not revealing is because we are not convinced yet. For us, the world is still more real than the self that we are. That is where the problem, crux of the problem lies. And how do we establish the world more real? By way of desires. By way of desires. Vibhum Vyapinam. Vyapinam, all pervasive. Vibhum means all pervasiveness. And therefore, then he says, Atma Grahanam Swataha Ananyatva Pradarsanartham Pradarsanartham. So, recognizing, knowing that knowing that this Atma is of the nature of all pervasiveness. And here the word Atma is used when it says Atma Grahanam Swataha Ananyatva Pradarsanartham, meaning to show that Atma is, you access the self within this body. Brahman is outside the body, because Brahman is the source, the substratum of the entire universe. But when our attention is on this body, that this body is not eternal, body is changing, the breath is changing, the mind is changing. So we are going back to the center of this body. So what is the center of this body? What is that formless principle within this body? What is that knowing principle within this body? What is that conscious principle within this body? In spite of the thoughts, because I thought is not equal to Atma. You know that much. Aham vritti is not equal to the self. So here the Atma is being what you call is being explained, that and it is being told as the Atma is the innermost self, the indwelling self. See, otherwise we want to search for Atma in our beloved soulmate. We'll realize together. Forget it. We want to realize the Atma in our children. Forget it. Extroverted approach is not going to reveal it. When our approach is extroverted, maximum you can go to is God. That's all. That also for rare ones. Otherwise, God also has to be realized inside, within only. आत्म शब्द प्रत्यग आत्म विषय एव मुख्य एव मुख्यस्थम ईदृशम आत्मानं मत्वा अयम अहम इति धीरः धीमान् न शोचति. So when he says, so it is being shown as Atma is, word is being taken to show that it is other than the word Brahman. By nature it is the same. But here our attention is being brought to Atma, which is within, and therefore the word Atma is being used. And also Atma Shabda Pratyag Atma Vishaya, that Atma is to be used not in reference to the world. The Atma word is to be used only with reference to this particular, to the within. For that the word, otherwise they would have said Brahman within. Nobody says Brahman within. Matva means Matva means having known, aham iti, having known that this all-pervasive principle within I am aham iti. Remember what did we say? There is one Mahavakya Upadesh, I am Atma Brahma. This Atma alone is Brahman. So I am aham iti. Thus, I am that. What that? That Atma I am. See? And who says this? Having known this Atma, I am that, who comes to this conclusion? Dhiraha, the wise men. The wise, having come to know I am that, Dhiman na shochati. Such people, they do not grieve for anything. So where is the grief? Where is the misery? Misery is only when we get attached to the changing. Grief, misery is only there when we get attached to the ephemeral, non-eternal. But who is a wise man? Who comes to know that I am that Atman, I am that conscious principle, I am that formless within the form, I am the all-pervasive. See? Now we have to hold ourselves, not hold, here communication, this is the problem. We have to be that principle. While listening, we have to go beyond thinking while listening. But that will be only possible when we first accept, when we have faith, when we have conviction, when we have belief that we are that eternal principle, we are that formless principle, we are that all-pervasive principle. Just as the mind is pervading the entire dream universe, the Atman here, the consciousness that I am, is pervading not only this body, breath, mind, intellect, but also the entire universe. This conviction has to come first. Without conviction, abidance will not happen. Without conviction about this, that I am the formless one, we'll continue to desire the form. We'll continue to desire some results. You can only have one disposition. Either you are the self or you are not the not self. There is no gray area in between. And what is the prerequisite for being the self? Desirelessness. Desirelessness. Because when you understand, if you are understanding what is being told here, this is with desire, but it is leading to what? A desirelessness. That I am already that which I am seeking. Because if I am not already, then how can this body exist? How can the intellect think? How can the mind feel? How can the breath breathe? How can the senses function? How can the body be alive? There must be a conscious principle within, isn't it? That conscious principle I am, and that is the Atman, that is the eternal one, that is the all-pervasive one. And in this contemplation, suddenly the desire to maintain the logic, the desire to maintain the conviction, the desire to maintain the feeling, the desire to maintain the breath, the desire to maintain the body, the desire to maintain the world drops away. It drops away. You will not be able to drop it. If you try to drop it, you are creating a bigger problem for yourself. It will drop by itself. Just like Urvarukameva bandhanat mrityor mukshiyamamritat. Just like when we think of the sleep, automatically the world drops away from our mind. So here, instead of sleep, which is sky, which is akash, which is vyomavat, vyoma, vyapina, what was the word there? Akasha kalpa they had used. So consciousness is more pervasive than that. It is even subtler than the akash. Akash is only at the mental level. It's a concept. And what is that concept? That there is nothing. It's stupid. Nothing is a concept. Object can be a concept. Form can be a concept. Absence of form is a concept. See how we fool ourselves. So we come to this all-pervasive principle, Atmatvena. I am the self as the self. Nahi evam vidhasya atmavidah shokopapattihi shokah upapattihi. Meaning, the wise man who has come to know himself as the Atman, I am aham iti. I am aham iti, I am that. In such a person, there can be no misery because he has come to himself. He is being himself. See. When we move, does the space inside us move? If I am taking this glass, there is empty space here inside. When I am moving this glass in space, is the space inside its glass moving?
No.
See?
No.
Correct. So the space does not move. What do you feel? Wherever the body goes, I am going, I am coming, I am waking. Movement from waker, then I am dreaming, then I am sleeping, then I am waking again. But Atma does not move. Then why are we speaking in that language? Because our attention is on the form. We are missing the point that we are the unmoving principle. that we are the unchanging principle, that we are we are the formless principle, like the space. Zara sochiye, think, ponder, not as a concept, ponder on the self that you are, which is unmoving, unchanging, unmodifying, unlimited, pervasive, supporting all in and through all the forms, yet independent of all the forms. That you are. So this Atman is present in all the bodies, unaffected and unchanging. And those fortunate ones, those bold ones, those courageous ones, those wise ones, dhiraha, who come to know it, aham iti, those who have those courageous ones who have come to know him as the self, as the I am that, they go beyond sorrows and miseries. For the Akash, there is no misery of destruction of any universe, isn't it? So many planets and universes, galaxies are going out of existence and coming into existence. Is the space affected? No. Even more so in the self. So we see how step by step, stage by stage, we have been brought from the world consciousness. Remember before it was we talked about the Hiranyagarbha. From the world consciousness, we have been brought to the consciousness of, that is the absolute, that is the Atman. Now continuing, so that we don't make it into a concept that there's this self, yes, I am that, who is that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, keep repeating like the parrot. No, immediately the teacher says here, he says, Yadyapi durvigneyaha ayam atma tathapi upayena suvigneya eva iti aha. He says that the text says that though this self is difficult to know, it can be known well through proper means, no doubt, but it is a non-knowable. But how it is to be known, that is going to be told here. It is unknowable objectively, but subjectively it is always known. So here it says, repeat after I say, Nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. Nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanun swam. Tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanun swam. Together. Nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Tasyaisha atma vivrunate tanun swam. Now be ready for the shock. What does it say? Nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. That this self, this Atma, cannot be known through pravachana. By giving pravachan or by listening to pravachan. Meaning by attending, listening to scriptures or by talking on scriptures, you cannot come to know it. Because what will happen? if you think that by listening I will come to know, if that is your presupposition, listening will become the cause and result will become, knowing the self will become the result. But what is the nature of Atma? It is self-knowing, it is self-existing. So, nayam atma pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena, nor through the intellect, nor through much hearing can it be known. So, by logic, by convincing, by referential, by similes, it cannot be known. And also not by hearing. Shrutena. Shrutena means by hearing. Shravana. Vivek Chudamani says, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. You have to, the process of knowing the truth, the self is, you have to consciously listen and then reflect and then contemplate. And here, pani pher diya sabke upar. Suddenly the carpet is pulled from under your feet. Why? Look at the stage. What is the disposition of Nachiket? He has already withdrawn from the entire world, so that he doesn't make the mistake that only when Yamraj, Dharmaraj is speaking, he will come to know that I will. So he is telling Nachiketa, in other words, don't depend on my speaking that you will understand. Don't depend on your understanding that you will come to know the self. Why? The self is self-revealing. It is not a result of logic. It is not a result of contemplation. It is not a result of reflection. And the grossest, it is not the result of listening also. न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन. Bahuna shrutena. Then yame vaisha yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Then how can it be known? It can be known through the self alone. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha. Only the self can come to know the self. Mind cannot come to know the self, no. Intellect, no. Breath, no. Body, no. Senses, no. Scriptures, no. Shravanam, no. Mananam, no. Nididhyasanam, no. What if I go and spend a lot of time with a realized master? No. If I go to Himalayas? No. My God, nothing can reveal it. No. Then how? It is self-revealing. Then what has to be done? Can you do anything to make the sleep happen? No. You create the conditions. But sleep happens of its own accord. What can you do to create the space? Can you do anything to create the space? Oh, I'm going to create more space by breaking down the walls. Unnecessarily you build the wall, now unnecessarily you are wasting the money for which you spend the money. Space is still the same. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyaha tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanun swam. So it can be known through the self alone that the aspirant prays to. This self of that seeker reveals its true nature. The truth reveals. Truth cannot be created through thinking, through logicalizing, through working it out, through action. Action happens where? Manasa vacha kaya. So grossest is the kaya. Subtler than that is the vacha, speech. Kaya means deeds. Deeds cannot create the self. But then what can deeds do? Purify. What can speech do? Purify. But it cannot create the truth. It can only do purification. You take the name of the Lord, it will purify. Mind cannot reveal the truth, but then what can mind do? Oh, ajapa jap. Mind can only purify. Self is self-revealing. So does it mean that the mind has to become quiet in order for self to reveal? No, self is always, ever and ever and ever self-revealed. It is not a result of quiet mind or a busy mind. It is not lost by a busy mind and it is not gained by a quiet mind. And yet, for the initiates, for the seekers, initial stages when we say samadhi abhyas, etc., that is, you are quietening the mind so that you become available to the self that is already. But we have to understand, we are not only living in samadhi, we want to live 24/7. It is accessible all the time. It is not a special event where you run away from the world, wife, children, body, breath, mind, intellect, and dive into yourself, and you come to know only to lose it after you again the mind clicks out and senses start saying the word, "Arey yaar, phir gayab ho gaya, kahan chala gaya, pata nahi." It cannot be like that. Then that is not Atma. Once you know the Atma, you have always known the Atma. In fact, you are the Atma always. Only hoodwinking yourself to believe that you are the body, that you are the mind, that you are the intellect. Get out. Stop this obsession with this body, breath, mind, intellect. Remember in Panchadashi what it said? Drop the obsession with the Gaunatma. Gaunatma is father, mother, daughter, sister, brother, etc. This is the Gaunatma, virtual reality, virtual role. What is the illusory role? I am the body, breath, mind, intellect. This is the illusory self. Which is the Jivatma is the illusory self. The conditioned consciousness is the illusory self. What was father, mother, daughter? Virtual self. This is the illusory self. And who are you actually? The absolute one, the Atman. Be that. See? Nayam atma pravachane na labhyaha na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yame vaisha vrunute te na labhyaha tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanun swam. This is a very, very famous verse which is very often quoted when people get frustrated of contemplation, when they come to their wits' end, or the teacher is seeing that the student is trying to turning the heaven and heavens to come to know the truth. He's focused, pointed, working it out. Then he says, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. First they say chant Om. Where are you chanting Om? In your mind. Now they say Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. And what is Nachiket doing? Only listening to the pravachan of Yamraj. So these opposing ideas are presented so that the mind is not able to pinpoint anything. The mind has to become free from everything. All referential existence has to go. Yesterday, when the people who I was staying with, young boy, 20 years old or 19 years old, such wonderful question he was asking. And this is the point. He said, then why should I take the name Ram? I said, you don't have to take. If you know, then you don't have to. But do you know? No. So who do you consider yourself to be? Body, breath, mind, and yes. So why is this being maintained? Because you have accepted that it is that. Then how can I undo that? I said, you cannot undo it. Then I asked him, how do you undo yourself before going to sleep? He says, I don't. I only think of sleep and uh, everything, mind collapses. I said, then you know how to undo. You have to do it consciously. And because when your attention is on so many objects of the world, you are unable to undo. In sleep, you are very easily able to focus on the sleep for all the connotations that you have given to about it to your mind. I said, when you have faith, conviction, surrender to this Ram, because your mind can only work in thoughts, in specificity. So we give it a support of a specific Om or Ram. He was talking about Ram. I said we are tricking the mind to bring about its own collapse. And where the collapse happen, there the sleep begins. If it is happening without your knowing, but if you bring about it consciously, the mind will collapse by its own thinking, and you are aware of it. See, that's the technology. So all scriptures, all satsangs, shrutena, intellectual gymnastics, all that is for bringing about a collapse of the mind for a sustained period so that the self can reveal. Even though self is ever revealed, but we don't have the eye to see it. So we bring about such a condition. And if you are finding it difficult, understand that difficulty is created by your own doing. Self is not creating the difficulties. God is not creating the difficulties. You yourself are creating the difficulties by your own thinking. So let's see what's the time. So here he says in the Bhashya, Nayam Atma Pravachanena प्रवचनेनानेक वेद स्वीकरणेन लभ्यः ज्ञेयः न अपि मेधया ग्रंथार्थ धारण शक्त्या. This Atma, meaning by pravachan or by the various Vedas, acceptance of the various Vedas or Upanishads, etc., it cannot be revealed, it cannot be known. They are incapable. Who? The Upanishads, the Vedas are incapable of revealing the truth, are incapable of revealing the Atma. Probably that's why Buddhism began. Non-acceptance of the Vedas. Sanatan Dharma is that which accepts the Vedas, Puranas, Itihas. Buddhism is that which does not accept that. It went completely anti-Sanatan. But Shankaracharya in the 8th century took that standpoint also within its ambit and made it a part of the growth. See, which is avyakta. And we clearly say, now if you have heard this language, what I have been saying, or Upanishad has been saying, that self is self-revealing, it cannot be known, isn't it? How can you know the formless? Cannot come to know the formless. Yet the formless is. So they focus on it cannot be known. Sanatan Dharma focuses on it is the knowable unknowable. So, if we accept the Vedas, Upanishads, etc., by knowing them, by some places at home, they will pray to Ramayana, they will pray to Bhagavad Gita, they will pray to various scriptures, but they will not read the scriptures. We are at home also, in your houses also, the moment our feet touches the book, Saraswati, Namastubhyam Varade Kamar, Kshama Prarthana, immediately, isn't it? But to your partners, to your children, verbal abuse is going on. They are more alive than the Vedas. See, there you don't say, Kshama, Kshama, Kshamaswame, Kshamaswame. You don't say that. Their ear bashing is going on. So here he is saying that by collecting of scriptures, study of scriptures, and those people who say that I am studying Sanskrit so that I can study the scriptures by myself, they are creating not samadhi, they are digging their own grave. It's a big ego trip that I'm going to do it my way. It's a big ego. Here we are trying, self-realization is either the my completely obliterates from the scene, or the my expands to include the entire universe. See? And they want to study by themselves and come to know the truth. Good luck. But here the scripture says, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Aneka Veda Swikaranena. Even you accept all the Vedas, Labhya Jnaya Na Api. Even if you accept all the Vedas and you know them by heart, you know the logic, everything, still you will not be able to know the Atma. Medhaya Grantartha Dharana Shaktya. That even if you have Medha Shakti, Yaschandasa Mrishabo Vishwarupaha. Continue, Ma. Don't worry, I'm not putting you in place. The Medha Suktam is there. What is that Medha Suktam for? Once you and some of you must be seeing or be aware of it. After so many years of satsang, when I say something or some sentence comes here in the Upanishad, immediately it clicks what it could be meaning. Immediately what could be the possible meanings, interpretations of it, you drop that because of your continuous engagement with the Upanishad. Now we have done 3-4 of them. So immediately you come to the self, isn't it? But that is not equal to knowing the self. So even if we swikaranena, even if we have accepted all the Upanishads and we have by-hearted them, understood them, medhaya, na api medhaya grantartha dharana shaktya, you are able to concentrate, you are able to repeat, you are able to understand the logic. Some people I know, they can, this Shankar Bhashya which is going on here, they have by-hearted the Shankar Bhashya itself. They have by-hearted the Shankar Bhashya. Unbelievable feat. That is Medha Shakti. Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, when they went to school to Sandipani and Bhagwan Krishna went to Sandipani and Sri Ram went to Sage Vashishta. Within 3 days, that fantastic Medha Shakti. Everything that the teacher spoke, it was, learned. And he could repeat it back to the teacher with understanding. See? So, having this type of acumen, dharana shakti, grantartha dharana shaktya. You remember dharana, dhyan samadhi? You understand those words? What is dharana? The ability to concentrate. So, this student, any student, if he is having the capacity, ability, the power to remember the Vedas and the Upanishads and the scriptures, is not equal to knowing the Atman. The scriptures will not be able to reveal the Atman. This is what is told here. Because our buddhi is where rationality is there. Buddhi is an expression. The intelligence is in the buddhi. Buddhi is an expression of Prakriti. And what is the nature of Prakriti? Coming and going. What is the nature of Prakriti? Manifestation and non-manifestation. So how can that which is changing reveal the changeless? You understand? So the buddhi, the medha, does not have the capacity to reveal the truth. No api medhaya granthartha dharana shaktya, na bahuna shrutena kevalena. And not even na bahuna shrutena, not even by continuous listening. Some people get addicted to satsangs. Like we are addicted to speaking, you get addicted to listening. Chalo, this is like a MOU signed. I will keep speaking, you keep listening. And Atma is waiting when these fellows will stop speaking and listening. Na pravachanena labhyaha. By speaking, by giving pravachans, it cannot be gained. So this is an outward, it's a satsang pravachan, but majority of the times pravachan is going on in our head also. When we are contemplating, that is a pravachan. The mind is convincing itself by repeated thinking, contemplating, reflecting. Na bahuna shrutena kevalena. Then if it is not revealed, even by exhaustive involvement in the satsangs, then what is the way? What is the way out? Then how can we attain the Atman? How can we be the Atman? Well, here the question is, how can we attain the Atman? We are already the Atman, we don't know it. How can we be that? How can we attain it? How can we fall back? How will the Atman reveal? Whichever way you put it. Kena tarhi labhya iti uchyate. Then how is it to be gained? We will tell you, is going to be said now. Iti uchyate. Yama eva swatmanam esha sadhakah vrunute prarthayate tena eva atmana varitra swayam atma labhyah jnayata evam iti etata. He says, the sadhak, the seeker, when he accepts the Atma and prays to the Atma, this is very important. Praise to the Atma, like you pray to the Lord. What do you do when you pray to the Lord? Vaikhari madhyama pashyanti para, isn't it? Same way. Here what are you doing? You are contemplating on the Atma by accepting the Atma as I. Same thing we did before. we contemplated on the Hiranyagarbha, isn't it? Through Om, it was told either Om represents, is the symbol for the formless and the symbol for the form. Question is, where is your attention? On the form or on the formless? On the individual or the total? Or on some object of the world? And as long as you are chanting Om single pointedly, you will achieve it. Whichever, whether it is an object of the world, whether it is health, whether it is clarity, whether it is the Lord. Yamraj, he was chanting Om and he was doing the Havan, the fire sacrifice. But what was his goal? His goal was not what Nachiketa wants. His goal was, I want to be the Lord of, I want to go beyond Dharma and Adharma. I want to be the master of Dharma, Dharma. So he got the position of Lord of Death. Poor fellow. He's stuck there. He can't get away from it. Even though he knows what the truth is, he cannot drop the position of Dharmaraj, Yamraj, the Lord of Death, because he aspired for it. He did all his sadhana with that as intention. Don't people do Tirtha Yatra? They go to various pilgrimages. They go with an intention. So many people do Satyanarayan Puja. They sign an MOU. I will do your Satyanarayan Puja when my child gets married. And very conveniently they forget. Then they remember, why all these problems are coming in my life? Then someone reminds, did you commit anything someone? And you have to remind, oh my God, I told him, I said that I'll have Satyanarayan Puja if my child passes the year 12, or if my child gets into university, or my child gets married, then I will do Satyanarayan. Oh my God, 3 Satyanarayans are pending. Yeah, probably that is why all the problems are coming in life. So there God, Hiranyagarbha, the totality, it fulfills you, isn't it? It fulfills your wish, because you are single-pointedly somewhere inside you, because of your faith, because of your conviction, because of your availability to the Lord. In that moment of commitment that I will do it, you had a doubt-free disposition. That's why that manifests in your life. Same way here when it says that where are we? Yama eva svatmanam esha sadhakaha vrunute prarthayate tane vaivatma varitra swayam atma labhyah nyayata evamiti etat. Yama eva, that self indeed, which is the seeker's, the sadhaka's own self. Is the sadhaka's own self, and which is this self? Is the self of, if we are the seekers, is our self other than us? Is our self other than us? No, I am the self. I am the seeker. I am the sadhaka. It's not a general principle which I am talking about. I'm not talking about you or anyone else. While I'm talking here, I'm addressing to myself. That the sadhaka self. So whose self? Myself. I am the seeker here. Vrunute. So the self prays to. Vrunute means to pray. Tena. And how does he pray? The self prays to the self. Which self? The individual self, the conditioned self prays to the infinite self, which is its essential nature. See? Don't you pray to yourself, to your own potentiality? Oh, I think I can I have the capacity to manage this problem at my work. You have never come across that issue before, but you invoke within yourself the capacity, ability to handle that situation, isn't it? So who did someone else and bring it out of you? No, you contemplated on your own potentiality and invoked it. Many times you must have got distracted, but you keep focusing on it. You are convinced that I have the ability, I have the capacity. I should not get distracted. Then that capacity which is hidden, that ability which is hidden, that creativity which is hidden, it will reveal itself. I have to just become available to it. So who becomes available to whom? You alone are becoming available to your own potentiality, your own ability. Same way, you alone are becoming available to the God within. In the Bhakti Shastra, through the japa sadhana or the meditating on the form, etc., the mind surrenders to the God. And that God who is everywhere, he reveals himself by making you one with him, isn't it? Because surrender you cannot do. He absorbs you. He swallows you. He makes you one with him. Just like sleep makes you one with itself. So there is someone to merge into. It is an idea, it is a God, it is a form, it is a principle of creation, maintenance, or destruction, or it is the Ishvara. It is the Hiranyagarbha, the totality, where there also all desires are fulfilled by merging into, if you go to the Hiranyagarbha. But there still a form is there, or some name is there, some idea is there. But here, the self is becoming available to the self. The I is becoming available to the I. The mind, can the I see the I? Not possible. Can the mind think about the mind? Can the mind think about the mind? Try. You'll go to sleep. Because mind cannot come to know itself, just like the I cannot see itself, mind cannot come to know itself. Similarly, the self, yame vaisha vrunute tanun swam. So similarly, the seeker self prays to the infinite self, the Atmic self, by itself. So actually speaking, what is going on? The Atma is playing with itself, because remember in the previous verse we said the Atma is the subject as well as the object. The Atma is inside and outside. Atma is everything that there is, isn't it? So the infinite reality expresses as the reflected consciousness. That reflected consciousness expresses as the aham and idam, the I and the that, the subject and the object. So that subject is contemplating on the subject. Is it possible? Can subject ever become an objective object to be contemplated upon? Can the vision, for the vision, the eyes become an object of illumination? Not possible. Can the mind become an object of knowing for the mind? Not possible. Same way, can the Atma become an object of knowledge for the self? Not possible. Then what is to be required? What is to be done? Be available. See, merging is possible. Merging is possible in God, in Ishvara. You even talk about merging of your mind into sleep, which is nothingness. Both of them are not an experience. Both of them are not an experience. They are experienceless experience. One, going into sleep, is an inert, experienceless experience. Merging into God is also an experience, because you cannot bring it about. It happens. You become available. But both places there was objectivity, so to speak, when you think of sleep or you think of God. But here the thinker, you are contemplating on the self. You are the self. And what are you wanting to be? The self alone. See the maja. This is the miracle. This is the wonderment. And yet it happens. So, Vrinute prays to Tena Labhyaha, and when the seeker becomes available, when the seeker prays to the Atman for revelation, then the Atman becomes revealed. Itself is Labhyaha, can be known. When Atma becomes available to Atma, then it can be known. When the self becomes available to the self, then it can be known. Same thing was mentioned in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadhayet. Raise yourself, by yourself, in yourself, for yourself, isn't it? So there it was not told that you choose asan to raise yourself. It was not told to raise yourself through breath. It was not told yourself to raise yourself with mind. It was not told that you raise yourself with some concept and conviction and faith. It was only told, raise yourself by yourself. And each person, depending upon where their attention is, he will take, raise yourself. Yeah, I am raising myself with my body, because for him body is the self. He will do yoga. Another person will say, yeah, I am raising myself through pranayam. Why? His attention is on pranayam, on the pranas. Someone will raise themselves through jnana, because his attention is on knowledge. But this verse clearly said, Nayam Atma Pravashanena Labhya na medaya na bhavna shrutena. Excuse me. So now the question is, how can the self seek the self? How can the self know the self or be the self? Can you have a desire for yourself? Have you ever had a desire for yourself? You have desire for waking, you have desire for dream, you have desire for imaginations, you have desire for health, you have desire for hunger, food, you have desire for partner, you have desire for children, you have desire for satsang, you have desire for meditation. But at any given moment, do you have desire for the self? Yes and no. Why? Mumukshutvam. I want to be the real self. That is mumukshutvam. I want to be the self as I am. That is mumukshutvam. And which is this self? The all-pervasive, the all-knowing, the greater than the greatest, the substratum. But you are already that. So when we start becoming available, when we start praying to the self to reveal itself as it is, without any reference, without any specificity, without any limitations, without any conditionings, we are praying. Same way we pray to the Lord also. But to the Lord we pray objectively. But here the object is the self alone. And in that process, somewhere along the way, the effort, the intention, the availability, all of it collapses and the self reveals. Will the self reveal everyone? No, it chooses. In what sense it chooses? You have to be empty. Then it will choose. Then it will reveal. It is the natural state of everyone. The shortcoming is not in the self. Shortcoming is in our availability. We are going there with a concept. We are going there with an objective approach. We are going there with some doubt. We are going there with some that I want this result, or I think this will happen to me, or that will happen to me, or this experience will be there, that experience will be there. Day before yesterday, I was in someone's house, and there in the satsang, one elderly lady, she's 93 years old now. And she's sitting there, and I was ha ha hoo hoo chal raha हमारा बच्चों के साथ, and then suddenly she's very serious. Arey, laugh man at 93. But anyway, her questions were, she says, Raman Maharishi had an out-of-body experience. I also feel that I should have an out-of-body experience. What is her age? 93. I said, Amma, if that happens to you, you will not be able to get back into the body. She says, how can you say like that? You are taking the mickey out of me. You are joking with me. I said, no, Amma. I have come out of my body. Oh, you have come out. No. I want that experience which Raman Maharishi had, that he came out of the body. And isn't that realization? I said, no, that is not realization. Coming out of body is only a phenomena of the mind. And it is an imagination of the mind. That is not realization. How can you say? I said, it is my experience. No, but that book said. I said, Amma, I think it's high time you stop copy pasting. You cannot do what other people have experienced, you cannot experience. But they are at that age, they are so stuck in their way of thinking. After some time, I gave up. If some person, they understand, they understand. What can I do? They have to become available to themselves. But what she wants, the Ramana experience. She wants the Baba experience. She wants the Ammachi experience. She wants other saints, Ramakrishna Paramahansa's experience. And what is her body age? 93. Are we here to experience what other people have experienced? Or are we here to experience the self that we already are? See how very subtly this mind goes into that track. And then we get obsessed with masters, we all get obsessed with gods, we get obsessed with scriptures, and therefore this verse, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. Very clearly the Upanishad says, these are the only scriptures in the world who do not allow you to depend on them. Clearly it is being stated. That the self must pray to the self. The individual self must pray to the Atmic self. Which is this Atmic self? Atmic self is that which knows the waker, dreamer, sleeper come and go. That is the one step, penultimate step. So who's the seeker self? The seeker self is the waker self. Who is he praying to? He is praying to that self which does not get disturbed when the waking world experience comes and goes, dream world experience comes and goes, sleep experience comes and goes. It continues to be the same. The gold, whether ornament is there or it's melted, gold continues to be gold. And your experience is this waker is going to go away after some time. So, consciously at this moment, we bring our attention to that conscious self, that Atmic self, that expanded consciousness, which is all encompassing, which is beyond the waking self, the dream self, and the sleep self. And don't make it into a concept that I am aham iti. It's a very fine dissection. For that, you have to chill. Body has to be quiet. Breath has to be slow and shallow. Mind has to be quiet. Then this dissection. What is this dissection? Discrimination between the changeless and the changing. The changing is the seeker self. Changeless is the Atmic self. So how is it known? What it means here, labhyaha, where is afterwards? Labhyaha, tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanun swam. So the person who desires only the Atma, he's got mumukshutvam, he's not desiring anything in the world, he's not desiring any experiences, phenomenal experiences, he's only desiring the self. He's got zero desires for the world. Only one desire left, that also he has to give up. But that must be urvarukameva bandhanat. It must drop away by itself in that seeking of the self. Just like the desire for the sleep drops away by itself. Then what was the desire for the sleep? What was its purpose? Its purpose was to act as a checkmate to all the desires of the world. So what is the desire for the self for? To checkmate all the desires for the world. When all the desires of the world have put their hood down, they have dissolved away. Now, you don't need to desire the self also. That will also dissolve away by itself. So here it says, how is it known? It says, Esha tasya vivrunute tanun swam. So, Esha, this self of that seeker, tasya of that seeker of the self, vivrunute, reveals swam of its own accord. Then this self of the seeker reveals of its own accord. Not because you were thinking. No. As a grace, as a blessing, as a prasad. Vivrunute reveals its real self. Tanum, that is, and how does it? Its true nature. And what is its true nature? Which is beyond words. No word can capture the nature of the self. Then what are these Satchidanandas, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa, Vibhum, etc., etc.? These are only to cancel the opposites. Sat is for cancelling Asat, Chit is for cancelling Achit. But there is no word which can stick to the Atma. Even the word Atma, you have a word Anatma, you have a word Nitya, there is Anitya is created. So why is the word Nitya being used, eternal? So that we stop contemplating on Anitya. Just like when we are pricked by a thorn, we pick up another thorn, we remove the thorn and we throw both of them away. So we have so many thoughts of the world, we choose another thought of the world, which represents the self, which is the word self or Atman, and or Shuddha Buddha Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta, or Satchidananda, or Vibhu. And when we have what you call checkmated the opposite, then these words also drop away by themselves. Where all the words have dropped away, what is left? What reveals? That is the self. Self is self-revealing. No word can reveal it. What is that word? अप्राप्य मनसा, उसका क्या है? यतो वाचो निवर्तन्ते अप्राप्य मनसा सह. Yato vacho nivartante. Self is that from where even the words without revealing the self return back. Self is that where the mind cannot comprehend the self. Aprapya manasa. It cannot come into the conceptualization of the mind. How can the effect understand the cause? This is the cause of all causes. And in this way, यमेव स्वात्मानम् एष साधकः विवृणुते प्रार्थयते तेन एव आत्मना वरित्रा स्वयं आत्मा लभ्यः ज्ञायत एवमिति एतत्. I have already explained this now, that Atma can only self-reveal. It cannot be revealed by anything else. But through the self alone, the self will be revealed. Nishkamasya atmanam evam eva prarthayata atmana eva atma labhyata iti arthaha. Meaning that only for knowing the self, for realizing the self, this prayer is being made. And this prayer is made by whom? By the Nishkama Purusha, a desireless person. And only to such a person who is desireless completely, to him this self reveals itself. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.